want to tell you something. It's the most important thing I've learned all year. 2025 has been a heck of a year, and a lot has happened, good and bad. I always think of Diane Court in Say Anything telling Lloyd that she has this theory of convergence, that good things always happen with bad things. Sometimes I think good things happen with bad things precisely because the bad things give us an opportunity to step up and show up. But there are a lot of ways to show up. For example, here's how my year started. It was New Year's Day, a stat holiday, and how did me and my friends spend it? We spent it by helping our friends move. To set the scene with some statistics, 8 hours, 3 cities, and 1 U-Haul later, we got our 2 friends moved out of their shared living situation into 2 separate living situations. I told people later when they asked how I'd spent my New Year's Eve or my New Year's Day that this is what I'd been doing. And they said, "Wow, you're such good friends. You are such a good friend." And I brushed this aside because I thought, isn't that just what friends do for each other? But the truth is, we are good friends. We're more than that. We're a village. And that day, wrapping dishes in newspaper and packing boxes, loading a truck, unloading a truck, it was still a great day. I think that day set the tone for the whole year. And this was a year when me and my friends and my family, we all really needed each other. I experienced something pretty traumatic in January, and the long and short of it meant that I was off work for a week, and I was anxious and upset, and I needed some support. And I had people to call. I had my parents. I had my friends. I had my friends' parents. And the thing that I thought at the end of that terrible week was that everything in my life had paid off. What I meant by that was that all of the work that I'd been doing my whole life for me to feel more stable and capable, to build my relationships with other people, all of the time I had spent investing in the people around me and building community in the place where I live, all of it paid off. I felt the same thing later in the year when a friend's dad died, when we all helped out with the service, when we were all sitting in their backyard afterwards. I felt the same thing early this summer when I was going through a tough time professionally. Investing time in people and relationships and building these strong, connected, resilient communities doesn't stop bad things happening, but it makes them survivable. But also, there's another way I feel like my whole life's work has paid off. In one of those strange coincidences in timing, at the end of that terrible week in January, I heard from a friend that I hadn't heard from in several years. We had lost touch, and I didn't have a way of reaching him, and I didn't think I was going to hear from him again, even though I'd been thinking about him and hoping that I would. And then suddenly there he was in my inbox. I've spent a lot of time over the years thinking about the qualities that I would want in a partner, things that I would want, not the least of which wanting and hoping that we would be friends first. I always thought that dating seemed terrible and exhausting, and wouldn't it be so much better if you could just get to know someone as friends and let something just, work itself out organically? Well, team, I'm here to report from the other side that falling in love with a friend is all the things I hoped it would be. Before we started going out, when I thought it was a serious possibility but wasn't sure yet, I remember I was telling my dad about him, and I was talking about the fact that I had asked him all of these questions, some quite serious questions, things like, do you have any debt? And what would you change about your relationship with your parents? And Dad was saying, it's good that you're asking these questions because you're at that age now where you know what you want. When me and my fellow first started talking 5 years ago, we were both in our mid-20s and we both still had some figuring out to do. But in the intervening time, losing touch and then reconnecting, I think we're both at a place now where we know what we want. And so the way that feels like to me is that all of the hoping and wishing and thinking and imagining and deciding exactly what I would want a relationship to look like has all paid off. Oh, I better get going before things get too mushy. And I have a date. So, my friends and fellow VEDSies, I will see all of you tomorrow. The boy does not know that I'm making this video, but he is waiting for me. And I just can't stop talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. I can't stop talking about him, the man that I adore.